Hello everyone, what is the NAR settlement? How will you be affected as a seller, buyer, or a realtor? So let me just get into it. I got like a bunch of phone calls last week and this week, and I decided to make the video regarding this particular topic. So let me just read exactly what NAR is. So the National Association of Realtors has agreed to pay $418 million and change its rules to settle lawsuits claiming homeowners have been unfairly forced to pay artificially inflated commissions when they sold their homes. So this is one of the statements why the hype is all about and what is actually going on. So assuming that it will take place in July 2024. We have a few more months before that happens, but let's just get into it. I will not get into my listing presentation. I will just get into the whole idea or how we were doing business before and what we can expect. So basically now, let me see if you see this. So now this is what happens. You have a homeowner calls a listing agent or an agent, a realtor, and that listing agent, realtor, negotiates basically for both parties, right? Because we are collecting as listing agents, we are collecting commissions for us and for the buyer agents, because on MLS, we have to disclose today what the actual commission structure is for your particular sale. So in most cases, I will take this as an example. We will say that 2.5% will go to the listing agent and 2.5% will go to the buyer's agent, right? So if you think about that, our business consists of listings, and I've seen it. I've been in business for more than a decade, so the basic rule of thumb is you need to have listings in order to survive in this business. It's point blank, it's very simple. On the other hand, when I walk into a listing presentation, I have to negotiate my part. We're going to take an example of 2.5%, and then automatically I'm negotiating the other commissions for the buyer because my brokerage and we're collecting both sides. So what happens when there is a sold sign, right? When there is a sold sign, that commission will be dispersed to the buyer's agent on closing, as said on MLS, in this case is 2.5%. All right, so that's what's happening today, and this is what we're going through on a daily basis. So now buyers today, okay, so a buyer agent will do a few things. So one, they will have a BRA, which is a buyer representation agreement, right? Which means that when you decide to, when you pick your agent and you decide you will work with a particular realtor, the realtor will secure themselves a window of time. Could be, 90 days, could be 120 days, could be 360 days, whatever the number is, whatever you guys negotiated between the buyer's agent and the client. And then there's a couple of check marks there, the area, the region, the type of property and all of that stuff is negotiated on that BRA. And what happens in that period of time, that buyer agent will secure whatever the MLS states for the most part, right? So if the MLS states 2.5%, so the buyer, when they purchase the property, agrees that the buyer's agent will collect that commission from the listing agent. Remember, the listing agent did all the work, went to, went with the listing presentation, negotiated pretty much both sides. So what does the future bring, like with the new settlement? So this is the new style. So what's gonna happen? New way, right? Let's call it that way. Okay, so new way. So what's gonna happen is the listing agent, listing realtor, will walk into your home and says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm negotiating my part only. So they will negotiate their side of the commission, whatever that is. But let's call it, as an example that we did earlier, 2.5%. So in this case, at 2.5%, that listing agent will do the following: whatever that listing presentation, whatever the marketing is, whatever the capabilities are of that particular listing agent. And they'll, I'm assuming, give you a full list of items, etc., etc., etc. And you agree to hire this particular agent, and everything is good to go. But the missing line here is that there is no MLS commission structure. It has to be negotiated when the deal comes in. That's the difference, right? So now you're asking yourself, so, well, who will work for free? Well, nobody will work for free. So I'm assuming it will go, there are, you know, few ways it could go about this. But let's just assume that this property is $500,000 for easy math, and in scenario today, that particular buyer agent will get 2.5%, which equals to 2.5%. It equals to $12,500 of commissions on this particular property today. So with the new way, there's nothing. So that buyer's agent bringing a client to this particular property and to the listing agent, few things have to happen. One, will the buyer's agent negotiate with the seller's agent plus the seller on the commission, right? So what if the seller says, well, I don't want to pay nothing, like zero, right? Well, obviously a couple of things can happen. One, that buyer will say, okay, so I'm not gonna, I still want to buy the property, but like I don't care about that now buyer's agent, which kind of sucks, right? So, and if the seller says, okay, so you know what, like I'm not gonna pay the commission because I think the price is fair, we negotiated, I paid the listing agent, and what now? So I think one, if this is unsuccessful, the second will be that the seller will say, yes, I will pay. That's the second version. I will pay whatever that amount is. Could be a couple of different things in play. Could be, I will pay you 2.5% based on your offer, based what I see. I can agree kind of what's going on. Then it can be a flat fee. I will pay you $10,000. I will pay you $1. I will pay you 5 cents, whatever the seller and the seller's agent respectably think based on the offer that's on the table, what this number will look like. And then the third option is the security for the buyer's agent. So the buyer agent can say a few things. One of those things, it could be, okay, look, we will purchase this property for $500,000. That's what the that's what we have the agreement. But based on this scenario, the seller doesn't want to pay. The seller agent doesn't want to pay, or like I have no way out. Now we will add that fee on top of the net purchase price. You follow me? So it could be, let's say in this case scenario, there's a 2.5%. So this 2.5% is $12,500 will be added to you, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. So the final is 500, 500, and then on closing, the 1250 will be paid out to the buyer, and there's all these other fees, you know, land transfer tax and lawyers and whatever those commitments are in that particular agreement. But these are probably the three scenarios that I could think right this moment, and how buyer agents will be able to somehow protect themselves in all of this chaos. So, well, these things look the same. I don't know which one is the mouse now, and I don't know. And I think for most part, most of the buyer agents will feel the same. Which one is the mouse? Which one is whatever? Where's my commissions, right? So I'm obviously a listing agent and a buyer agent at the same time, and I've been doing this for a long time, you know, double-digit number over 10 years and all of that stuff. But I'm finding that that applying a pressure on buyers, I think it's nonsense. I mean, like it doesn't make sense. Like, we can debate it now, but if you think about that, like, look, man, like they have to go to a stress test. Let's just call it the big bank. They have to go through this high interest rates. They have to go through, what about appraisals? Appraisals. No matter what you pay for it, you have to understand. Like, let me give you a quick example. Let's say you purchased a property for $500,000, and you and your agent, whatever the case is, bidding war, you love the house, you just want to buy it no matter what, right? If this particular property appraises for $450,000, guess who pays the difference here? You, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. You pay the difference of $50,000. The bank is not going to loan you more money, so you have to pay the difference of $50,000 in order to close. So therefore, it is extremely important to play your cards right, to make sure you know exactly what is going on, and then purchasing the property. Fine, if you have to have some conditions, the mortgage conditions and all of that stuff, it's a little bit safer. But sometimes you will not have that opportunity, right? And you want to go in there and you want to buy that particular property. So you have to make sure that all of these elements fall into place. And then on top of that, if your buyer agent, like your BA, says, look, like I need to get paid as well, and they add another, $12,500, you're doomed. Like, this is a second or third or fourth or 17th mortgage, right? So, like, I just don't see how these things will kind of work, and I don't even see how it's going to work for the sellers. You think about that, right? Like, then you're in a tough spot. Like, you negotiated once with a listing agent, and you're okay, so you know where you stand. Now you're trying nickel and dime, which is great, right? Like, you're trying to, keep the most amount of money in your pocket and sell your property for the most profit. I get that. But now there's an additional headache. Now you're going back and forth, you're renegotiating, and on top of negotiating, renegotiating to make these deals work, and it's a constant battle. And let me give you something else. Like I don't know how you feel about this, but this is a common problem with with overlisting properties, right? So, and I don't know, like if you have been in this situation, if you ever thought about that, if my fellow colleagues have been in this situation. But let's just take an example of $500,000, right? And let's assume, just for a second, that this property is valued at $480,000 market value. This is kind of what we see all day long. But then your seller, right, that hired you said, no, my property is worth $500,000. And let's say you agree. You say, okay, listen, we'll give it some run time, a week, 2 weeks. Let's see how many showings and all of that stuff. So in this scenario here, nothing happens. And then you say, okay, so we're going to have a price reduction. Okay, no problem. So then you have a price reduction to $490,000. So now your seller says, well, now we're like this is it. Like I'm not moving, even though you know that this property is overpriced, even at $490,000. So then you receive an offer. Ching ching, an offer comes in, buyer's agent, all good. An offer just came in, and the offer is at $475,000. Get that? In a normal scenario, most of the time, this $5,000 plus minus $5K can be negotiated up and down in a normal and healthy scenario. But check this out. Now you're dealing with this number here because your seller says, look, I already came down 10K. Then now this guy is offering this particular number at $475,000. Like this is $25,000 off. I'm giving this person I don't want to give this person $25,000 off, right? So this is just like an interesting scenario, even though this property should have been priced at $480,000 and you should have probably received a fair offer at $475,000 and probably renegotiated to $480,000. But you started with this number here, then you had a price reduction here, but your seller, in their mind, in their head, they're saying like, look, no matter what, like I'm putting down this price and I already gave this person a deal, a steal deal. So I will leave it with this. I hope you got something out of it. I hope I was able to explain the NAR settlement here. And based on all of this and based on everything that is happening, we will continue to service and to do whatever we can to satisfy both ends of the deal and to bring the most amount of dollars to your pocket. Thank you all for watching. Please like and share and subscribe, and see you next time.